Greetings and welcome to a Monday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is February 10th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I am riding high. What a weekend. Illinois hoops just annihilates Minnesota on the road, and then Thomas Detry just runs roughshod over the PGA Tour in Phoenix.
That's a fair characterization of what he's doing right now. We are recording this as he struts up the 18th. We are that sure. We are that convinced. You know, the Phoenix Open never won to end early, let alone on time. But we are fully confident your winner of the 2025 WM, as it's now known, Phoenix Open, is Thomas Detry. He's 6 up on Michael Kim and Daniel Berger as of this recording. There's Jordan Spieth, Mav McNeely kind of putting it out. But yes, big win for your Illini. A big win. I did not, and they've mentioned this now a million times on the broadcast, so it's kind of like it's an obvious point. But God, I didn't realize he was 32. I know he's been around. I know he hasn't won, but 32 is old.
Yeah,
for pro golf at this point. It just feels like he's 26. Does that make sense? You know, he looks like it. He looks like a strapping young lad straight out of Champagne. But he's 32, married with kids. You know, Houghton Lee won the European Tour this week, the Qatar Masters. He's 29. Like, you just think like he's been around forever, right? And it just feels like Detry still is just getting going. But a kind of talent that is commensurate with the PGA Tour winner. It's just a matter of time, and now he's got it at Phoenix Open. He must be pumped.
absolutely. I mean, it's not been fun on as a Tom Detry fan. It's been hard every time on the weekend. It seems like he's melted away in his professional career. I mean, I don't know how many times, on Saturday or Sunday he's been within 2 or 3 shots of the lead. But if you told me it was 24 times, I wouldn't be surprised if you count DP World Tour and PGA Tour. He's been rattling around. He's like the quintessential guy that just like hasn't been able to get it done on the weekend. But like the reality with golf and kind of the best way to play golf at a high level is give yourself a ton of chances, because winning is really, really hard. And he finally got it done this weekend. He played out of his mind. He was great. And it's really, really awesome to see. I think he's just got like a real all around game. He's shored up some of his weaknesses, and the short game's really come a long way. And now you look at him and it's like, man, this guy is probably going to be a Ryder Cupper.
Maybe. We'll see. It's getting crowded. You got the Marunk man winning in Riyadh. You got Lowry last week. Straka. Just
the
a lot of
Højgaards,
bodies.
both
Højgaards. Yeah. A lot of bodies for Luke Donald. It's only February 10th, but yeah, a lot of options there after is Hovland a Ryder Cupper? I mean, you assume he's one of the pillars, but I don't know. He talks about how lost he is. So yeah, that could be interesting come September. He seems like somebody you want to get in the operation, Detry, right? Someone who could play, I know he's 32, could play this year and the next time around. That kind of talent. He's a tee to green stud. Look, he hasn't won, but like, you're good at golf. If you're in the last 3 groups on Sunday, like, multiple times per season, you are a consistent stud and the kind of person that could make a Ryder Cup team. First ever winner from Belgium on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, because Peter's never won. On tour. So it's cool. I mean, it's been amazing to watch the kind of pipeline from Belgium. And you think about like Colsaerts being kind of the first one to pop out of there, and then you got Peters and Detry and Adrian Dumont de Chessart was in the mix. Mathis Bassard was, had a DP World Tour card last year. So it's been cool to see Belgium develop players. And I think Detry has been one of the more underrated players in the world just because he hasn't won. I think we have so much of a stock in winning. I think like the thing is, like, you look at this leaderboard and there aren't a lot of golfers on the planet that would win a tournament with this type of leaderboard by 6, Yeah. Like, that is a testament to the talent and the skill.
Yeah. That's fair. I remember when he won that World Cup event with Peters at
Mhm.
Metropolitan down the that was like I think that was like week 5 of this podcast. Felt like I think it was 18 in the fall there. It just felt like, all right, well, that was a cool event and they dominated, I think that if I recall correctly. And it just felt like he would win pretty quickly, subsequent fashion after that. But here we are 7 years later and he breaks through. Floodgates? Is this a floodgates situation? No,
I don't
I'm
think it's a
kidding. It's
floodgate.
hard to win on the PGA Tour.
I think it's just more of a I think there's some confidence that's going to come from like finally having that win. Maybe
Sure.
we see more high finishes, a couple more wins. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him win 3 times in his career. Is that a fair number?
Yeah.
I thought like today was interesting. I always like watching guys that have struggled historically on the weekends when they have like a big lead. And I thought the front 9, there were moments where it could have gotten off the rails. He holed a number in the middle of the front 9. He made a lot of like 5-6 foot par putts. There were a lot of saves in there, and it's just like, it was the day that those putts went in, and I'm sure other times in his career, those have been the putts he's missed, and the momentum and the feels just kind of go south. But today, all the putts he needed to make, he made. All the shots he really needed to hit, he hit. I thought that the pressure of winning was felt on the back 9. You could see him on 13 when he 3-putted the par 5 to make par. Berger gets it to 3. And I thought then he made a really bad, his only really bad golf swing was that shot on 14, the tee shot. And then Berger had a real chance, but he dumped it in the bunker, eventually chipped in. But that was the moment where I thought it was really on the ropes. And now he ends up winning by 6 shots,
Yeah. Some good highlights in the front. And when he had that half shot from under the tree, I think that was 8 at the point where he kind of had to just run it up from, couldn't take it all the way through. And just ran it up on the green when you're in trouble. 11, I think he missed. It was overly aggressive. That was amazing.
What a putt. 7-shot win. 7-shot win.
Yeah.
Not many guys win by 7 shots.
Look at all the world players waiting to meet the Belgian. You got Foxy, Bobby Mack, Seabass, like just the United Nations meeting out there. It looks like going to be on the 18th green.
I hope Luke Donald's watching this. I'm
sure he is.
Taking notes. 7-shot win.
I'm sure he is.
That should count as double the ride.
539.
Oh, look at that. His kid's running on the green. What a wholesome moment. What a wholesome moment. I wouldn't be surprised if they go down to Champagne to celebrate.
5:39 Eastern as they're finishing. A good 50 minutes.
Matt Wallace is giving him a champagne shower now.
Is he?
Yeah,
Matt Wallace, the Englishman.
Around.
God, that's good. Love that. But he was great. Great. 11, he tucked it close. I think, is that like the best shot on 16 that we've seen on like when it like kind of was in the under the gun in a contender? And I'm trying to remember that just to stop it on the top of the table like that was pretty cool. Usually 16s, it's a fine hole. It's just more about the scene and the party. But that's as good as a shot as I can remember from someone kind of in the hunt to them win. I mean, that was kind of the nail in the coffin.
I gotta say, I mean, what was cool too is like you saw how hard it was to hit it back there before. I think the fact that Berger hit it right back there before and it kind of skipped back.
Yeah.
I wonder if Berger was kind of in between clubs and went with the a little bit more club and hit it soft because of that.
Yep.
Because then Detry just came in with the perfect shot. The height, the trajectory, the spin to get it to stop up there. I mean, extraordinary shot.
Yeah, a great winner I thought this was a good. Phoenix does a good job, right? I think it does a good job. Sort of 20. What do you get to 24 or 23? That's high. 24. That's a lot for Phoenix. Like usually it sits closer to 20-ish. But it does a good job. I just thought overall it was like so unprofound. It's just like a fun weekend. It felt like light, right? Like CBS is really buttoned up. Usually like they're very professional, like they're the most conservative sort of presenter of golf, as a reputation. But they were kind of just bouncing around with one-liners, having a good time. They really get along. There was just like, it felt light, right? Like the PGA Tour lately, every weekend feels tense. Whether it's like, oh, this is not going well. Oh, there's a weather. There's just like the ratings are not what we want them to be. Oh, this is a flop. It felt like the PGA Tour doesn't have enough light weeks. This week last year, the catastrophe on Saturday with all the drunks and the overcrowding, it just felt sort of like a light, stress-free, really, really fun week all the way around. And I don't think the tour gets a lot of those, or hasn't had a lot of those lately. But Detry caps it.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when a standout player from one of the finest universities in the world wins. Just a stand-up guy from a stand-up university. I have to say, my text message chains are lighting up. There is fervor on the on the University of Illinois. I wouldn't be surprised if they're rioting Green Street tonight.
Is that the main strip down there? What'd you say? Green Street?
Green Street,
in Champaign? Okay.
They're probably hitting Green Street, hitting the town, just like when we got to the finals of the NCAA basketball my freshman year. It's probably similar scene with Detry winning here. I've actually had this stat pulled.
Okay.
I didn't want to steal Justin Ray's thunder, but I wanted to point it out there. Thomas Detry is now the second ranked player in the world.
Behind who? The Tank?
Behind the Tank.
This is wild. Continental Europe just rumbling into the top of the world rankings, aka Courier Cup.
I also had this come across my desk. The Illinois men's golf program has more PGA Tour wins in 2025 than University of Texas, University of Alabama, University of Oklahoma, Oklahoma State University, University of Florida, Florida State University, Vanderbilt University, Auburn University, and Arizona State University programs combined. Did you know that?
Like the 6-week season or whatever? Is that what you're saying? Are you talking about worldwide or what? All right. There we go. That's big claim. You better send in money to the NIL fund. You got to capitalize on this moment.
Been kicking around the NIL, what we could be doing to get some Illini wearing fried egg and shotgun start gear.
I heard about this. So story one for you is your alma mater guy. What would be 1A? Would it be Jordan Spieth? It seems like a lot of people want to talk about Jordan Spieth. He had the left-handed putt from behind the bush, which provoked like 100,000 of the same precise tweet about like Spieth doing Spieth things, and the 2-putted par. Like he did make an insane par there. Good week for Jordan Spieth. I didn't realize he got hurt last week. Like right off the bat at Spyglass, not hurt, but had some weird lie at Spyglass and like jammed his wrist. And he talked about that, the one that's been bothering him. And then he gets back in the saddle this week. Great approach numbers, which is always a good thing. If you're Jordan, his putting numbers were a plus, which is always going to be the case when he's in the win column. Got wild off the tee today, lost some there, but really, really strong approach numbers from Jordan Spieth, and encouraging at a place that you can't always fake it. So
very encouraging.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those he made like 10 putts from outside of 30 feet deals. He hit the ball well on approach. So
listen, the recipe for Jordan Spieth getting back to being a great player is by being a great approach player and seeing him at the top of this. Listen, there was a reason I was hankering to get off Jessica Island earlier this week. I felt this coming.
I got several texts like you should go into like stock trading. Like what a early call, and
I had heard rumors that there were a couple shots available at Pebble that haven't been available in years.
Okay.
And
okay.
I think,
you withheld this information from the listeners on their preview Wednesday gambling show.
Listen, if the United States, and if the United States has taught me anything in my short time on this earth, it is to withhold information for personal gain at all costs. That seems to be the way that everybody gets ahead in this world.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Just use it for the right time. Yeah, keep it in your pocket and use it for the right time.
So getting off of buying some property on Spieth Island, selling some Justic Island. I'm still balanced. I have a balanced portfolio. I'm not all the way off.
No.
But this is encouraging. And I think like one of the things that the tour needs, and I think we talked about this either on the Fried Egg pod or we talked about this on this pod as we got this year kicked off. I thought it was like vitally important for Jordan Spieth or Justin Thomas to kind of come back to being elite players on the PGA Tour. One of them, they've desperately needed one of them to be a guy again. And in a way, I think JT's like trending toward. I think we could see him win any week now, but like it seems like he's playing as good a golf as he's played since Southern Hills. And I would say Spieth with this with the approach numbers, like listen, it's 1 week. Let's not get crazy.
Sure.
But like seeing him at the top of approach, that's the most important stat for Jordan Spieth. If he can be an elite approach player, like top 10 in the world, he's going to win a handful of times every year.
Yeah. It's. I don't want to say he's whatever the needle, but there's a reason. The Just a Guy debate was about how he brings home the bacon, not about how he plays golf. And he's now cracked the not within 12 shots deal. And that's
slump buster. It was a slump buster
that you brought out last week. So he called that up and X'd it out. But yes, very encouraging signs. He seemed very happy with himself, with Greller, with the way it was coming together. This isn't like you said. And JT, by the way, he was fun to watch. Just the whole Sunday, even though it wasn't close, like probably, I don't know, I'm kind of sick of talking about ratings and like whether that's a barometer of anything. It was just a fun Sunday. JT holing out and throwing the club. It was an easygoing, fun. JT's a name brand. Same with Spieth. And both of them were top 6 by the end of the day. Yeah, top 6. So good approach numbers for for Spieth. He sponsors exemption next week. He'll be back at.
He almost played his way into the swing 5.
That may be true. That is true.
He didn't get in, but he
didn't
almost
get in.
did.
But yeah. Chucky Hoffman wouldn't have been happy about that.
Let's see. Where's the swing 5 here?
The Aeon swing 5. Did anyone new jump in?
Hey, can I just read you the world rankings right now?
Sure.
This is the
real ones or the FedEx Cup rankings?
The FedEx Cup. Sepp Straka, Thomas Detry, Hideki Matsuyama, Rory McIlroy, Nick Taylor. No Americans in the top 5.
Well, I mean, the season's 6 weeks old.
I guess the thing is Nick Taylor might be an American by the end of the year.
That is true. They're not people. I think people are not starting to get sensitive about those to the north. We're just kidding. I think. I don't know. We are. I don't know if our government is, but we are just kidding. I think. Yeah, he may be American by the end of the year. It's the season's 6 weeks old. Who's the best American golfer right now? Not named Scotty Scheffler. Xander's out. Right? I mean, it's kind of an interesting question.
Right now,
yeah,
I would say Morikawa or JT.
Yeah, I think that's maybe not a bad guess. Bobby Mack played well. Just a lot of Euros, just rumbling around. Seabass top 4. One American who did not play well is Brendan Todd. We are maybe worried. We're starting to get somewhat worried. I don't think we're as worried about him as we are Ricky Fowler, who was god awful on Thursday, and then WD. He might have been sick, with the camo activation and that whole thing.
How about the camo? The camo really got around.
It's Pushing
tell you what, like
pushing the game forward, or whatever language they want to use.
you could be the biggest dial tone in the world, and all you have to do is wear slightly provocative clothing, and everybody will think you're the edgiest human being in the world.
You're not talking about Ricky specifically, or just anybody.
Jason Day.
Okay.
I mean, Jason Day. Jason Day was never thought of in this light for the decades that he wore, the decade that he wore, just off the rack Adidas clothing. Now all of a sudden, people hated, people like legitimately didn't like Day because he was slow. Remember that?
Yes.
Now everybody, because he wears some sweatsuits.
He's a legend. He's a legend. Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember when the internet despised Jason Day's, visualization, and how he used to like.
He'd get hurt.
To appreciate his favorite tournament was the Pebble Pro-Am because of the pace of play.
He didn't have to speed up.
But then
Luke, as they call him,
right?
Daniel Berger. Encouraging signs for him. I had a top 10 bet, cash, locked it in, got that. I also had a nice payout if he won, but I'm happy for your Illinois boys. Ryder Cupper, maybe we want to do that whole thing.
Wow, Ryder Cupper.
Who knows what happens? He's won. He's done it before. He's been on the team before. Who knows what happens in the next 6-7 months? So a good week for Daniel Berger. Great skill set on him.
You know what I loved?
Yeah, go ahead.
I loved. I thought the JT coming in the booth was
awesome.
Great. It was awesome.
And it was golf geekery. It was not like the fans. It was hardcore. This is the pin position. This is what he's feeling. This is where you got to put it. It was good.
The talk about JT gave about it, like the questioning was great too.
Yeah.
Asking, all right, how do you feel if you're Detry? What are you doing if you're Detry? But then what are you doing if you're Berger? And JT's like, just Detry's nervous. Just get it 20 feet away on 16, and Detry's going to be really nervous. I thought that was awesome. The other thing I loved was the tidbit about Berger being the guy that has taken the most money off him at home. Like, awesome. Like, this is like the stuff you want. And he's like, I get so frustrated. I can't beat him.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great in the box. I don't think they've ever had someone that late, right? I mean, the leaders were on 16 going to 7. Usually it's like pretty early in the front 9 or around the turn, but I wasn't complaining. It was great to have that insight as they got into the very, crucible final stretch.
I thought it was like a perfect time too, because of like the tournament being a little bit out of reach, but not all the way out of reach, right?
Yeah. What other odds and ends you got? Will Chandler, Monday qualifier into, I think, what did he finish? 5th or something like that?
You got to think he was comfortable out there.
He was. He had the big BD, B Dratty ambassador out there. I got my quarter zip on. He had on, it looked like a sport. It looked like a sport polo going for him in Phoenix. You can too purchase some of these items at bdratty.com using the promo code SGS30. They're back. Was there ever a doubt? They wouldn't be back? They're back for year 7. Is that what it? Well, I don't even know. They've been with us since the beginning with fried eggs since very early days of fried egg.
Very nascent. One could call it the nascent.
Nascent. The nascent days. Is
it nascent or nascent?
Nascent.
Is it spelled nascent?
NASCENT. Nascent.
Not nascent.
No, neither of those. So they were with with sort of this verbal crutch we talk about when we just add. It's like our friends at wherever. Like they are literally this is no BS. They've been friends of the program, friends to us since the beginning. They're kind of ramping up the whole, like, the variety of colors and options, but they're not gonna. I don't know that they're making a Jason Day sweatsuit. Maybe they are. I know they do have I don't know that they're putting it on their players, but we love their stuff. Go to bdratty.com. They're getting a little bit more experimental, right? They're variety. Go to bdratty, poke around. It's shoulder season approaches, right? Where you need a layer options. Andy hoodie in new colors. A lot of new colors in your Andy hoodie deal.
I gotta get some of those. We got
was
some in
wearing
the
that
pro
last
shop
night.
too.
I got compliments last night. I had an Andy hoodie on. I was getting a lot of compliments last night. Coached to a big win today in a quarter zip. It was great. It's great coach gear too, and a long time lounge gear.
Heard you got you had a little coaching issue.
I mean, no issue. We won by like a lot of points, and other parents were mad. I was doing my best to call up the dogs. We had 6 kids, 5 of whom are good, so it was like hard to play a second unit, and we won by like 50 points. I don't know. It was hard. It was a hard, and parents were pissed at me. I said, move the ball, 4 passes, don't go outside the lane, like a lot of stuff. But I look good in my Bedratty quarter zip. Go to bedratty.com, use the promo code SGS30, knocks 30% off everything. It's a good chunk of change. That feeling when you hit enter on that code at the checkout is just, it's a real winner. It's a glorious win. It's a glorious feeling.
Hey, do you want to hear a crazy stat?
Yeah, I'd love to.
This is a non-golf stat.
Okay.
Did you see Hubie's done?
Yeah,
Hubie Brown,
today.
91.
Kind of an unceremonious exit. They give him Bucks Sixers on a 2 o'clock.
Giannis was hurt too.
Why were they like? Can't we get a little more pomp and circumstance for his final game? Shame.
Hubie Brown coached against or broadcasted games of 80% of the players in NBA history.
That's crazy. That makes sense. Honestly, it doesn't shock me, but it's still nuts. That's crazy.
I'm like sad it's done. I love Hubie.
He's great. Now, what you have, like he was on TNT with him and Doug Collins growing up. That was it. They were the guys, you know? So, but yeah, kind of a random way to send him out today. All right. Will Chandler was in his Bedratty. What's his story? But you said you had some amusing tidbits.
Yeah. Brentley had this article on golfchannel.com or NBCsports.com, whatever the hell it is these days.
I don't know what they want. Know what it is.
Anyways, so Chandler played at Georgia, theoretically played, but he never really played. Chris Hack, the coach of Georgia, said, of all the guys I've coached, I'm the most surprised that he's on the PGA Tour. So Chandler, he was there for, I think, 5 years. He qualified for 20 college tournaments, most as an individual. So like, you know, these events where you could bring 8 or 9 guys, but you're still only playing 5 for the team. So he's playing in the event as an individual, not as a member of the team, if that makes sense in college events.
Yes.
And he finished in the bottom third of the field, 13 of those 20 events. So 65% of the time he finished in the bottom third of the field. He beat just 28% of his competition. So he had 2 career top 10s. Now file this away. We're a gambling pod.
I'm
PJ,
filing. Yeah.
where are you filing this, PJ? You got this written down?
I'm writing it down. I'm ready.
So he had 2 career top 10s in college. And I believe this is a man that's going to be playing at Puerto Rico. Both of those top 10s in individual events came in Puerto Rico.
That is a hot tip out there.
You heard it here first. Well, you heard it from Brentley first.
Yeah.
But he didn't tie it. You know, next week they're going to tell him to do better tying it to betting because that's what matters with golf.
Oh my God. What is like? Can we chill out? Like, I mean, the live betting tweets. Did someone tweet like they're tweeting about Pepe Peter opening par bet? Like, why is the tour? This is all the tour is a vessel for. Like hole by hole bets. Someone tweeted at us. Jay Schmidt tweeted us. It was weird the other day. It's like Mav McNeely makes a par, cash that bet. This is from the PGA Tour account, like nonstop hole bets. He goes, the official tour account is promoting Pepe Peter first hole birdie odds. Has gambling gone too far? That's from Joey Schmidt. We got, on Sunday around noon. There was a lot of gambling stuff, but that Chandler is a good tip. That's a good tip.
So anyways, apparently worked really hard. This was not for effort, lack of effort. Yeah. Apparently he was like one of the hardest workers Hack ever had. There were like lots of tales of guys going out to play 18-hole rounds and and Chandler being in the exact same spot when they finished 18 that he was when they teed off. Here's Hack. You always just thought to yourself, man, that poor guy. He just works so hard at it. But golf is funny, and sometimes it just clicks, and something happens, and you have that magical moment on the back nine like he did, and the next thing you know, you've got your PGA Tour card. So he got his card through Q School.
Q School, yeah.
So he finished in the top 5.
Yeah.
But like apparently, like he went. Everybody was kind of like scratching their head when he turned pro. Like, why is this guy turning pro? And then Hack got like a text that like one day he just started to beat everybody. Like just like one random day he started to take money from everybody in Sea Island. So that's a little Will Chandler.
That's great.
That's Will Chandler minute. Courtesy of Brentley Romine's article.
Love that. Read Brentley stuff by B. Draddy and root on Will Chandler. Sounds like a good story. What do you do? Like if you're the 8th guy or whatever on a team and people are shocked you turned pro.
You transfer to a school that you play at. What? You transfer to a school that you play at.
Well, but like people are shocked you turned pro. What was he supposed to do? Become an agent or try to like get into finance, insurance, be a mid-am? Like is there like a preferred route of when people say you're shocked, you go pro? What do you think?
If you want to be a mid-am, you get into commercial real estate, insurance, or join your family business if your family has a business. Those are your best options there.
A good week at Phoenix. What about Rasmus was bad? He was not. That putt at 15 was one of the worst of the year. The putt he left short at 15, and he was kind of a mess at 16. I would be a little worried if I was watching that. But
I thought for a little while on the front he was going to ruin Detry's day, like he ruined Rory's at Royal County Down. I got a question. I had one of our neighbor kids was over playing, and the neighbor's dad came in, and he said something about Højgaard. I was like, you know what's crazy is like this guy is like a top 50 player. I don't know where he is in the rankings. I don't think he's a top 50 player, but I'm like, him and his twin brother are both like top 50 players in the world, and this guy's like a competitive runner. And he was like, what? Wait, like they're twins and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of nutty. Yeah. It made me think like, I don't think that the greater golf world talks about how insane these twins are.
I may be. Yeah.
Like,
and not. Yeah.
Think about this in the context of another sport. This is something that the tour hasn't figured out to jam down our throats yet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's now they're getting reps too. I mean, he had his card for 5 weeks. It's a second or third start. Yeah. A lot of those Euros didn't get in this year. The great one among them, didn't get into the smaller field. Thirsty got in, Rasmus got in. But yes, he contends right away, or at least, top 10s. So.
Did you see Detry's last win on the Challenge Tour, who he beat out?
Katsia? Who?
Thirsty Boy.
Oh, God.
Beat him by like 6 or 7.
What did Thirsty Boy do? Oh, God. Thirsty. Only person Thirsty beat this week was Brendan Todd. So.
I had another just kind of big thought.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where this field ranked, but this felt like a tournament that had, it's not a signature event, but it had the right number of stars in it to feel like a good event.
Yeah, I think that's a good sort of holistic take. Scotty and Spieth and JT and those guys.
So what I take away from that is whatever the number of events is that gets us this type of field as the bare minimum is probably the right number of events.
Okay. I like that. This is your non-signature event. This is quality. I mean, now it's got a lot going for it with the identity, but I would agree with you. There was reason, like you could open the featured groups tab and be like, all right, this is legit. This is a big thing. And I thought it was I think they're on a good run. It did not start well. I didn't think the tour started well. The pace of play stuff, it was just not a great start to the season. But Pebble was great. This was a fun week, and next week should be solid. Anything on the broadcast? Colton Nost on Saturday. I watched a lot of Saturday coverage.
Mhm.
Takes a shot at the live ratings. I don't know, a subtle shot. He kind of had to do the math. But he said there are 24,000 people around the 16th hole today. That's 12,000 times 2, if I'm not mistaken. The number 12,000 is significant. And why it might be a jab is that was apparently the report of how many people tuned in to FS2 to watch the first round of LIV on Thursday. And a lot of people took off with that in Cold Nost, talking about the in-person crowd around the 16th green being twice that. They were cheeky, man. They're a lot. This is the one week they let it go. Balionis, I guess, was doing Kendrick Lamar references, trying to figure out how many to slip into the broadcast. They have they've done this for a while. They're buttoned up operations, CBS's in general, but they get into these pun wars where they're trying to one up each other. You can just tell it's a team that kind of, I think, really likes each other. But they had a good week, and the Nost one had the LIV boys. I'm sure not thrilled.
Oh, the LIV boys were on full defense this weekend. My weekend, I decided to get off some shots about the LIV ratings.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I love that on our Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was, Friday show. It's I think that was my favorite broadcast of the year.
You were one of 12,000 people watching it.
That's not all LIV jokes here.
I got flooded with, you don't understand, everybody's watching the app on the app. I'm like, oh yeah, that's how everything works,
Yeah, there's 800,000 people watching on the app, 12,000 watching on FS2.
Most people don't have FS2, I was told.
Yeah, it sounds like the distribution for that is not a lot, but still, yeah. Should we go? Do you have anything else?
I got a couple other things.
Go ahead.
Got a couple other notes. Did you see the Michael Kim driver adjustment thing?
No, I didn't.
Apparently he was having an awful range session on Friday.
Okay.
Awful. And right before he went to the first tee, he changed his driver to 3 settings. He cranked it and changed it. And then
on the walk to the first tee.
Apparently, yeah.
Wow.
And then he drove the shit out of it all weekend long, which is kind of crazy.
Good for Michael Kim.
Yeah, big week for Michael Kim.
Well, it's kind of like Rory stumbling into the ball change last week. You know, kind of, yeah. I don't know. Spur of the moment.
Couple other odds and ends. Emptying out the notebook here.
Sure.
I was just amazed watching. I watched all Friday, Saturday, and Sunday coverage. I'm astonished at how many 6 irons we're seeing hit from 225 to 235 yards. It's insane. It's utterly insane. And I just also wanted to put another note here that Matt McNeely hit a 359-yard drive on the 16th hole.
16th hole. 15th.
15th hole.
15th hole. Okay.
359 from Matt McNeely. What are we doing?
Pounds of muscle.
I'm just going to say this. I'm very, very emboldened that we are right now in the steroid era of golf, but the steroids are the equipment. It is insane.
You might just look back on nothing mattered. None of these latest records, scoring,
none of it.
Distance. Yeah.
It is completely preposterous how far these guys are hitting it. I saw Lawrence Donegan had an awesome thread about the Amir Ari Invitational and the scoring there. The college players
broke it. Oklahoma State broke their own scoring record, I think,
there. And it's what are we doing?
I would even to go with the baseball analogy. Didn't we always hear they were juiced up, but still it just let the best players be even better? Whereas it feels like this is kind of compressing, right? It's mitigating that. I mean, there was a Brady Anderson who kind of wasn't a good player, but wasn't a power hitter. But
what about
Barry
Cam
Bonds was still the
Caminetti?
best player. I mean, he was good. These were the best players, just even more juiced up. Literally, Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer. Whereas in golf, Rory's still, Scotty, the best players are still good, but I
saw Matt McNeely hit it 359 on 15, I just kind of was That just doesn't make sense to me. Like, he's not a speed demon.
No. I mean, everybody is now. He's probably gaining
He had
and
one.
adding and
I think he had
trying.
199 into a par 5. 359, 199 into a par 5.
It's an affront. Yeah. Silly. What else you got? Any other notes?
Then I just had one other thing, or two other things.
Yeah.
Why did Jim Fish got interviews? Interviewed the CEO of Waste Management. Got interviewed on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Got to ask, if you pass up the Sunday, do you get multiples during the week? Why? I didn't need Jim Fish twice this week.
Come on. It's like Blocky. He wants his walk and talk every week, every day of the tournament.
And then last thing here. Clanton on miscut, on the cut line was awesome on Friday. It was awesome to watch him, and obviously, like, he's grinding. Like, he needs one more point. You know, just like, this is where I'm going to throw my hands up. He's a top 100 player in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a fair.
He's literally in the top 100 in the world.
Yep.
Do we really need these point systems if a guy plays as an amateur and gets into the top 100 of the world?
Baby steps. Come on. This didn't exist 2 years ago, and they're tinkering it. They're trying to push it forward. Baby steps. We can't. Come on.
I kind of feel like I'm taking crazy pills. We're going through this pomp and circumstance of, like, awarding this card to this guy, and he's the top one. Like, I mean, he plays one more good week, and he's going to be exempted to majors.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a top 100 player in the world. Yeah.
I mean, reality, he's the top 50 player in the world.
Cut watch was fun.
It was
nice
fun
to have a cut watch on Friday. Nick Hardy, did you see that? Like, had missed a lot of cuts, came back, you know, was you know, took it standing up and all that, but kind of a grind for that. Putted on Saturday morning. I got nothing else. Good broadcast, good event, good winner for your sake, for sure. Let's go to the Qatar Masters. I committed to this being done by kickoff, and we're pushing it now. The Qatar Masters. Houghton Lee wins. It was his 8th professional win, his 4th European Tour win. He's only 29. It's kind of bananas. I didn't realize he was so young. He's just been with us forever. You know, so that hilarious P Cup appearance in 19, but talked about how he's quit golf and been a ball of nerves and almost wanted to quit golf, and now he's got his 4th win. So.
I was going to ask you what your favorite Houghton Lee moment was.
Wasn't it? What was the thing with the first tee? They said don't hit driver, and he did hit driver. What was the thing? Right?
Yeah, he
didn't bring a caddy to Australia or something. It was just Ernie's putting his blood, sweat, and tears, and they had a guy that was just out to lunch.
He got refusing to obey the strategy advice of the President's Cup team. I had another moment. I had other than the President's Cup. Remember when he was the 36-hole leader, peak COVID at Harding Park?
Yes.
And he had like a Friday morning tee time at 7 a.m. So he's probably there at 6 a.m. And he was hitting balls when Jason Day teed off at 1 p.m. And then he was still there practicing when Day finished at 6 p.m. And Day openly contemplated, like, what was he doing? Why is he doing this? He's the 36-hole leader. Then it later came out that, like, he did go back to his Airbnb and take a nap in between. Yeah. But, like, the way the camera just appeared that he was practicing all day.
He wins at the Qatar Masters over in the European Tour, DP World Tour, as it might be called. On the LPGA, we had the Founders Cup. Jin Yun Ko kind of spit the bit coming in. A lot of action on Jin Yun Ko. Nelly Korda, a great Sunday leaderboard. But Yalimi No is your winner. Jin Yun, I think she had 3 bogeys on the back 9. Not a great finish for her. Came in 38. And Yalimi No kind of cruised, won by 4. Megan Kane also solo 3rd. But yeah, Nelly didn't have a great day. Jin Yun Ko had a bad back 9. Yalimi No wins the Founders Cup over there in Bradenton, presented by the U.S. Virgin Islands. Just a different territory, presenting the LPGA tournament. And then I think sneaky, like after the fact of event of the week might be the Vic Open. Did you see this with the weather? The Vic Open, it was blowing 40 the whole, like essentially the entire day on the final round. The
who won?
Winner? Geary. What was the guy's name? That's just terrible. Geary won it, but he shot 78 and won by 4.
What?
On Sunday? Yes. New Zealand's Josh Geary. He shot 78 and still won by 4.
That's incredible.
Kind of crazy.
You know what that's reminiscent of?
What's that?
The Senior Open at Porthcawl.
Yeah. Who was that? Cheka just getting blown into the round.
VJ was just getting smoked.
But
Speaking of Champions Tour.
Yeah, let's bring him in. Oh, by the way, one guy shot 62.89 going to Sunday from Saturday to Sunday. 62.89, 29 shots, I think it is.
That might be a new within the tournament spread record.
Blowing 40 the whole time at 13th Mile Beach Links, I think. All right, speaking of Champions Tour, let's go to Morocco.
It's a big
DJ,
one.
Tell us what happened. I did no research. I know who won, but tell us about Champions Tour.
Papa was on site doing multiple interviews.
In Morocco?
Yep, was on
went to
site.
Morocco?
Went to Morocco, skipping the Super Bowl, went to Morocco, did multiple interviews throughout Friday and Saturday with people from like the Moroccan sport, heads
like
of
the
sport,
Prince.
Growing the game, talking about growing the game in Morocco. How do we
God.
make it better?
Papa's better than that.
No, Papa was growing the game in Morocco, baby. So as you alluded to, Miguel Angel Jimenez, first win in multiple years, drove the 17th green and made eagle. Stephen Alker makes par. That was the difference in the 2-shot win. It was kind of electric coming down the stretch. They were tied for a while. Then he eagles the 53rd hole and holds on, makes par at the last. So that was it.
I mean, Miguel Angel Jimenez is old, like old for Champions Tour. Like, should he really be body bagging these guys still? He's probably got a strict diet of cigars, Rioja wine, and paella, right? Like, I'm sure he lives well, but he's 61. He's just whipping these guys. A trophy Hassan too.
Well, I mean, you look at the rest of the leaderboard. You had Alker Boyce, Ernie, KJ Choi, Podrick, Thomas Bjorn, Stu Sink, Dick Green, all behind him. So Stu Sink is getting beaten by a guy 11 years older than him.
Great start to the year for the Big
Ernie, big start, great start.
I mean, do you think there's a Champions Tour thing where you got to learn the courses when you're a first-year guy, like when Kjeldsen comes out,
like Rasmus and others?
I mean, some inspiring journalist at the Schwab Cup might have asked Dick Green about that, and he said, "Yeah, there's a value to play in places more than once." So, who's to say?
All right. Love it. Any other Champions Tour minute nuggets you want to?
No, honestly, my big thing was that Papa was on site in Morocco. That's a great job of growing the game.
I'm just going to guess here that the Morocco Tourism Board covered the costs on that one.
Yeah.
Just going to guess based on what I'm hearing that they covered the costs on that one. All right, news. Tiger.
Well, we got to do LIV results.
Oh, just LIV. I had a bunch of notes. I watched this all day Saturday. Morunk man, it got tight from the Morunk man. He was snap hooks all over the place, but I wouldn't say Bassi Munoz exactly. Like he made it interesting in a moment, but he also got real tight. And so the Morunk man wins. 13 won by like 20 shots. Was not.
I want to point out how I saved us from getting just blown up by the LIV fans.
Why?
The dozens of LIV fans, because we brought it up.
Oh yeah, thank you. He's getting TIO relief where there's no fans. Like Morunk's being saved by TIO. I'll say this though, the rules officials on the LIV Tour I think are much more strict and admirable than the PGA Tour, because they're in the desert half the tournament. They're in like the scrub, and they're in these ruts and these holes, and tire track, and there's like no relief to be found. There was some TIO for the Meronk man, or as Arlo White was calling him, the Polish Prince. The Polish Prince. Arlo having a fun time in Riyadh. But yeah, they were not letting. They played fast too. It was good.
What do you think of the trolling the PGA Tour with their pace of play graphic?
I mean, I didn't think it was that good. What? I don't know. I guess 430, 420 or something. 421. I forget what it was. Sure, fine. I guess.
I think that my couple takeaways were I don't enjoy watching Meronk play golf because of his pre-shot routine.
Yeah.
He does the rehearsal all the way back, and every time I think he's gonna swing. I forget that he does it.
Yeah.
And my other thing is I think like at this point we have to crown Adrian Meronk as the greatest night golfer of all time.
First individual Cleeks win too, by the way, I believe.
Do you think the Masters are going to give him an exemption for being the best night golf player in the world?
No, I don't think they're going to carve that one out. But maybe if he keeps playing well, they might give him an invitation. I would say he might be in the running for Ryder Cup if he keeps it up. But he spent the last 2 years essentially bad-mouthing everyone involved in the snub for the last time that I think he's not done himself any favors to get the inside track.
Well, the other thing he did that rubbed some people the wrong way is that he waited. He accepted his PGA Tour membership. He didn't just jump to LIV, so he took a card away from one of his former peers.
Top 10. Yeah.
And he was in the first spot. If he would have done the thing earlier, then I think it was Ryan Fox was in the number 2 spot. Fox would have gotten like heaps of more exemptions and status.
Starts. Yeah.
So Meronk kind of jammed all of his former peers. So I think he could win 5 times if they wouldn't put him on the team.
I think he's got an uphill battle for sure, given that the captains in the group are still the same as the last time, and he's sort of napalmed it really ever since. It wasn't a bad watch.
JD Stan in the live comments had a good comment for you, Brendan. Authoritarian is the word that you were looking for with regards to LIV officials.
Okay.
They're very authoritarian.
I mean, yeah, they're strict. They're great. I was looking for a positive word. I don't know that authoritarian is like necessarily a positive connotation.
They were authoritarian in Saudi Arabia.
They carry out the duties as they're supposed to. How about Westy? Did you see the disaster? Westy hits in the water, fishes out the wrong ball, plays it. So he gets the guy was in contention, gets quick, snaps one into this creek that's really not in play on the 1 par 5 down the boundary of the course there. Fishes out the wrong ball, plays it up under the green, goes to Mark, and he's like, oh, whoops, this is the wrong ball. The whole broadcast was flummoxed, like never seen this before. This is a new one. I thought it was, too bad. Tough. Westy was playing well, and then that was just a micro implosion that took everything back. So. Poor Westy. I've never heard of that. Have you heard of that? Usually just maybe put a new ball in play. I don't know. It's not a new one of your own.
The rule, the takeaway from this is if you're playing in a tournament, don't fish your ball out of the water.
Right.
That's I think that's the grand takeaway for me. You want to do as little things that can possibly screw up, because like the Murphy's Law with tournament golf is like, if bad things can happen to you, they're going to happen to you. Congrats to the Legion. Super Bowl kicking off with a Virginia McCaskey obit.
Oh, yeah, that's too bad. R.I.P. to your owner. 101 was it?
102.
102. Wow. So that's LIV Golf. News is just that Tiger committed to Genesis. I don't have a lot to add. I hope he plays well. I don't know. He's obviously done so much at Torrey Pines. Probably didn't think we'd ever see him play there again. But by this obviously terrible circumstances with the fires, he's returning. Won there 8 times, had his glutes shut off. So much history at Torrey Pines. And he's going to play next week. Will he win? What are the expectations? Can he do it? I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think he's going to get through the tournament? Is a better
Yeah,
question.
I do. I think so. That's not great rough to be hitting out of, though. If you have a back that's fused 18 different ways. So
Trombone Shorty doing the national anthem.
All right. Well, enjoy the Super Bowl. You got anything else?
You ready for TB12? You excited for TB12
Sure.
on the broadcast?
I don't know if I'm excited, but it'll be fine. It'll be a good time.
Did
you get wings?
A lot better. No.
Did you get wings? All right.
I'm making Italian beef. None of my neighbors have ever had Italian beef. I'm pretty pumped about it.
You're doing a get together with the neighbors?
No.
Okay. You're just gonna bring some over. Yeah.
No, I did. Everybody was just asking, but nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew what it was.
I thought you were okay.
What?
All right. Good.
Well, you can't make any plans because of the waste management goes into
the podcast. We work on Sundays. All right, everyone, enjoy your Sunday night Super Bowl, your Monday if you're listening to it. Who are you
rooting for? PJ, who are you rooting for?
I'm rooting for Kenny Gainwell to go over 2.5 rushing yards. That's what I'm rooting for.
What a ridiculous bet.
Is that a bet you made?
2.5.
Kenny Gainwell. All the chips are in on Kenny Gainwell.
2.5 rushing yards.
Kenny Gainwell rushing and receiving over. I think it was 10.5 total. Kenny Gainwell chips are in the middle. That's it.
All right.
Good. All right. I'm not gonna make an allegiance. I don't want a fan base or regional area mad at us for any reason. Philadelphia or Kansas City. So, all right. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll be back with you on Wednesday.